there are these natural ways. I was in Bhutan not long ago and I was looking at all the ways they color, and they're very into organic food there, and they do use the beetroot, right? And all sorts of different colors. Would it really be that difficult for us to just change that back
It's
to
not,
the
no.
natural? Like, what is it then if we already have
I
Well,
mean, the
natural
reality
ways?
is you are it's going to be difficult in that you're going to have to reformulate. That's going to cost you a lot of money. But the reality is Panera bread cookies, if you've ever gone into Panera bread, their cookies are naturally dyed. They are bright, they are beautiful. Trader Joe's, all of their products are naturally dyed. They have M&M dupes. They're beautiful, they're vibrant. You can do it. Manufacturers have figured out how to do it. It's just a matter of they're making so much more money. Synthetic
Yeah.
dyes are oftentimes a byproduct of petroleum, very, very cheap. And so you compare that to the price of turmeric or beetroot, it's going to cost them a little bit more money. But the reality is, we've got to choose our heart. Is it at
Mhm.
the cost of consumers? Is it at the cost of children's health? Or is it just at the cost of a slight difference in your bottom line? And the reality is, what's really unfortunate, we have American manufacturers that create a version for us with synthetic dyes, and they've already reformulated it for the EU, for Canada, for Australia, or wherever. So they know how to do it. Some of them know how to do it. And so the reality is it's not that hard. They can make that excuse, but let's be real here. When they took away child labor laws, they said you're going to put us out of business. They didn't go out of business. Then they're not going to go out of business now.
No.
They're making millions, billions of dollars. They can figure out how to do it. It's already been done. Well, you look at Supernatural sprinkles, her line of icing and sprinkles, they're so vibrant. They have figured out how to do it. I mean, I couldn't figure out how to do it, but food scientists can. They're very smart. And so the reality is we just need to put the money and the effort into creating products that are both beautiful and that are synthetically dye free and natural.
well, I think a big issue too is we have come to expect our food to be cheap and last a really long time.
Yeah, especially here in
Yes.
the US.
Yeah.
And so like natural dyes, the main issue that companies have with natural dyes is, they're not always pH stable. They're not always temperature stable. Sometimes they tend to shift colors when they're on the shelf. I mean, when you're wanting a product to last for a year on the shelf,
Or 2 or 3 years.
then yes, synthetic
Right.
dyes are the way to go because they're not going to change color. They're going to look the same day one as they do day 365. So that's kind of the issue, and that's the argument. But like, does our food really need to like
Well, that's the
yeah?
thing, right?
Does our food
I
need to
was just
last a
talking.
year? Like, it's,
I was talking to a guest before this, Michelle Bang. She wrote a book, Sun and Saguk, which is about like a Korean way of cooking and rekindling your traditional ways of
Love
looking
that.
and your relationship to food. And she said, like, we expect our fruits to look perfect, right? To be bright and vibrant. When she's like, in reality, it's the blemished ones that actually provide more antioxidant, total amounts. They are better for you, they have more absorption rates and everything. It's like we want it to look vibrant and perfect, but nature isn't always like that. Nature provides things and imperfections for a reason, just like all of us. I think it's also a reflection of our ability to use Botox and surgery and want to look perfect when we have to embrace our imperfections. And I think that is a big part of Americans, especially relationship to food. We want it to look a certain way that nature sometimes doesn't prescribe to. And we have to be able to shift that thought process that it needs to be this color.
We do.
right.
It
Yeah. And
needs
I
to
think
look
that's
this way.
That's why we felt like the education piece had to come first. There have been
Yeah.
bills that were put on the table that have been just slammered, and it was a no. And then also, when you look at Trix actually took out synthetic dyes, and the world went in,
The
they went
internet, yeah.
bonkers. They were
Really?
livid. They said, "You've ruined my childhood." And then they put the synthetic dyes back in. But
Oh,
they never came out and said, "I'm sorry, we found out now that we have 27 clinical trials that this can cause behavior issues in some children. We know that red 3 and yellow 5 can be genotoxic. Yellow 5 and yellow 6 can contain carcinogenic components, and red 40 can increase your susceptibility to colitis. Sorry, guys, we've been doing that, but we're going to take it out now." They didn't say that. They said, "We're going to, we're trying to be healthier, and this is what we're doing." They're not going to take any accountability for the fact that they've been feeding us something that can cause harm. harm. And rightfully so. That is a PR nightmare. No one would do that. So the reality is we feel like we believe that education has to come first. And we've seen so much progress in this area that, and we can't take all credit, obviously, with what's going on with synthetic dyes. Like, our documentary came out at the perfect time. At a time where people are waking up to looking not only at the chemicals in their food, but at synthetic dyes. And so we have seen where moms are taking it upon themselves to write senators, and we have lobbyists, good lobbyists that are lobbying to ban synthetic dyes in public schools. And we now have several states just this session that have bills to ban synthetic dyes in public schools. And so we really felt like with all things, education had to come first. And we felt like we could be a tool in what's going on now to create a film where we can bring the science to everyday people, and we can break it down in a way where people can know that there is concern here, and that we should be concerned, and we should be, basically policing our own food, whereas we shouldn't have to, but that is what we're going to have to do to create change. And we've really, really, we're noticing a massive shift.
And one of the funny things that we've seen kind of a trend when people watch the film and then post about it or send us a message or, share it on social media. It's usually like, I was crying within the first 5 to 10 minutes. And the other thing is like, I threw everything in the garbage. We cleaned out our shelves. So like that shows us that our film is resonating with people and connecting those dots and giving them the education.
That's what was missing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and I do think that, we have seen a lot of movement in this area over the past year or so. There seems to be a shift, especially amongst moms and
have we even addressed the fact that Red 3 was, so the day our documentary came out, the very next day Red 3 was banned nationwide, which is not, it obviously is not because of our documentary. It's just the most incredible timing. And so people are really waking up to have a nationwide ban on a synthetic diet. That hasn't happened since what, the 70s?
Yeah, since
Red 2?
Red 2 was in the 70s, yeah. So it's just kind of been the perfect storm, and people are becoming more aware of it. And in our film, like you said, I think what our film has done that a lot of the influencers and a lot of the politicians that are talking about this hasn't done is give people those personal stories of this is a real life thing that is happening to real people. And so I feel like that's kind of the gap that our film is filling in all of this. So.
Well, it is almost serendipitous that this occurred on that date where the red number 3 was pulled. And then you have the Maha movement happen right now. People like Callie and Casey Means really promoting this